Hello dear Odoers. To run a successful business like our B2B fashion brand Apex Originals, we need a clear overview of our key data so we can make smart decisions. Odoo Dashboards give us exactly that. Dashboards are directly connected to our database, so the data we're seeing is always accurate and up to date. While Odoo provides powerful standard dashboards right out of the box, it's also possible to customize dashboards or create them from scratch. In this tutorial, we'll focus on the essentials, how to access and navigate dashboards to find the insights we need. Let's get started. When we open the Dashboards app, we arrive directly at the main dashboard interface. By default, this panel on the left lists all the dashboards we've been granted access to. It's grouped by section. Here, for example, we have sales-related dashboards, and these dashboards are related to our leads and opportunities. Clicking on the name of dashboards opens that dashboard in the main part of the screen. And to give the dashboard as much space as possible, we can click on the chevron icon here at the top of the left panel to collapse the panel. When we do that, the section and dashboard name are still visible to show which dashboard is currently open. All the dashboards we are seeing here are standard, pre-configured dashboards that were installed by default based on the Odoo apps we are using in our database. These standard dashboards already provide lots of useful insights, but of course, there might be other KPIs we want to track for our business. In that case, we could either customize an existing dashboard or create a custom dashboard from scratch. At this point, it's probably helpful to point out that Odoo dashboards are built using Odoo Spreadsheet. A dashboard is simply a spreadsheet that has been converted into a dashboard. So once we are familiar with Odoo Spreadsheet and know how to insert Odoo data into a spreadsheet and manipulate it, we can create any dashboards our business needs. We cover all these topics in other tutorials in this e-learning course, so be sure to check them out. Here in our sales dashboard, we are going to explore some more of the typical features of an Odoo dashboard. Let's start by looking at how we can filter and sort the data. First of all, if we click inside this search bar above the dashboard, we can see what are referred to as global filters. For standard Odoo dashboards like this one, the filters are specific to the topic. So here, for example, we can filter on fields like product, customer, or salesperson. What's important to understand is that these filters actually act on the underlying Odoo data by adding conditions that determine what data is loaded into our dashboards. Let's say we only wanted our dashboard to retrieve data related to a certain product from our database. We'll keep the operator to isIn because our values should be within a specific set of values. We click on the drop-down, then type boots and select it. And imagine we want to only see data for all salesperson except one. To exclude one, we'll select the operator is not in, and from the drop-down, we'll select Stephen McDonald. Before we apply this filter, let's look at the time period here at the top. In this dashboard, we are seeing data for the last 90 days by default. But we can change that by clicking the value, then selecting, let's say, the last 30 days. As soon as we choose a date range, this custom range here at the bottom updates to show the exact dates. When we click Filter, the dashboard updates to show the relevant data. Also handy to know is that here in the date filter on the top right, we can use these arrows to go backwards or forwards by one period. And if we click back, we'll see the data for the previous 30 days and so on. There's another easy way to filter a whole dashboard, and that's from within the dashboard itself. Let's first refresh the page to reset the global filters to their default value. Then if we scroll down to this product section here and over one of the products, we can filter on this value. This is because, as we saw in the list of global filters available in this dashboard, there is already a global filter for product. So let's click on our boots. The entire dashboard is now only showing data related to this one product. And we can see that this global filter has been added in the search bar. Next, let's look at sorting. If we scroll back up to these first two tables, we can see a small down arrow on the revenue column. This tells us that the table is sorted by revenue in descending order. I can click on the header to change the sorting. Now, the column is sorted by ascending order. It's really important to understand that this sorting actually changes which records are retrieved from our database. It's not sorting the data that was originally visible. When the table is sorted in ascending order, like it is now, we're seeing the bottom 10 quotations by revenue. Changing it back to descending order returns the top 10 quotations by revenue. You can hover over any column header in a table to see if you can sort by that field. The double arrows appear if you can. Now, let's explore one of the most powerful features of Odoo Dashboard, the ability to access the underlying Odoo data directly from the dashboard. This means that dashboards like this sales dashboard can provide both a high-level overview and at the same time allow an in-depth analysis if needed. Let's see how this works in practice. Clicking on the title of most charts or table takes us to the database view from which the data is being retrieved. Let's click back on Dashboards in the breadcrumbs to go back to our dashboard. Clicking on the data within a chart or table also brings us to the underlying data. Since a chart is typically aggregating data, clicking on a data point like this November 2025 brings us to a list of all the sales orders for that month. If we scroll down a little here in our dashboard, clicking a data point like a country in this GeoChart or a segment of this tree map chart will also bring us to the corresponding underlying data. The same principle applies for our tables. Here on our top products table, we have two different features in the same table. As we saw earlier, we can click a product name to be able to filter the dashboard on that product, but we can also click on the number of orders or total revenue to see a list of the orders containing that product. Depending on the type of data being shown, we can also access individual underlying records. Let's scroll back up a little bit to our top quotations table. Here, if we click on any row, I'm taken directly to this individual record. Lastly, let's take a look at some of the features available for charts. On any chart like these monthly sales charts, you can opt to see the chart in full screen. Before I click that, I'm just going to change the granularity to weeks so that I can show you something cool. Now let's see it in full screen. Of course, seeing the chart in full screen means it's easier to analyze. But for charts displaying data over time like this one, there is a very handy feature just below the x-axis. This slider allows you to zoom in on a specific time by dragging the ends of the slider to select a desired period. Then, if I want to analyze my data in periods of the same number of weeks, I can just move my slider through the chart and the level of zoom is maintained. I can return to the initial view by resizing my slider like this. In standard Odoo dashboard, the slider is typically only visible when a chart like this is expanded to full screen. But if we are to customize a dashboard or creating one from scratch, we can opt to have it visible even from the main view. Something else you will often see in Odoo Dashboard is this carousel feature, which allows you to switch between seeing data in a chart form, like this GeoChart, and a table of the related data. Now that we've covered accessing and navigating dashboard, let's briefly talk about access rights. When using dashboards, there are two levels of access rights to keep in mind. The right to see or access the dashboard itself and the right to view the actual data. In this left panel, I only see dashboards where I'm part of a user group that has been granted access to those specific dashboards. However, even when I have the right to view a dashboard, I only see data I'm authorized to see, based on the permissions set on my user profile. Because of these security layers, it's not possible to share a live link to my personal view of a dashboard with another user. If I need to show exactly what we are seeing to another person, I can click Share in the upper right corner and generate a frozen version of the dashboard. I can then copy the link and share it with them. We'll cover access rights to dashboards in more detail in another tutorial later in this e-learning course. That's it for this video. Now you know how to find your way around an Odoo dashboard for everything from high-level overviews to in-depth analysis. If you're interested in customizing dashboards or creating dashboards from scratch, make sure to check out other tutorials in this series. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.